Welcome to another guide. In this video here, I will show you how you can import my talents, my UI, and my Cooldown Manager in World of Warcraft. You might have heard about my Discord called Lo-Fi Paladins, where I have all my single button guides, or maybe you have seen one of my guides where I actually show you how to, for example, play Enhancement Shaman with a single button assistant. And you maybe have been wondering, how do he actually import his UI, the Cooldown Manager, the talents, everything? Like, how do I go from standard World of Warcraft to the World of Warcraft that Dvalin is playing? Well, in this video here, I'm going to go through everything. So you can basically send this video here to whoever you want that needs to use my guides, or maybe they want to use my guides, but they don't know how to set it up. Then you can just send them this guide here and you don't have to say anything else. I will explain everything they need to know. So let's get through it. So, as a new player or a returning player, your game might look like this. You have the standard UI, you have the standard talents, and so on. We're going to start talking about the talents since we need to take one by one. So first of all, we have the talents. If you press N, you will see you have the talents here. I guess maybe a lot of people is probably using the starter builds, which are suitable for most content. Like, it's fine. They are totally fine talents to use for anyone. But in case you want to have that little extra damage with the single button assistant, I recommend trying to use one of my builds. So basically, you're probably thinking, okay, how do I get one of your builds? So all my builds can be found on my Discord channel. So there is a Discord channel called Lo-Fi Paladins, which is this one here. There will be a link in the description of this video here. Then when you enter this server here, in the bottom of this room, you will find some rooms down here where it says single button assistant, and then there will basically be a spec for every single class or spec in the game, except 3 of the healers, because they cannot really use single button assistant, like Restore Shaman, Preservation Evoker, and Holy Priest. So for example, in this case here, we are playing a Windwalker Monk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Windwalker Monk. Then you can see here I have talents for Dungeon, Delves, and Open World, which is also the one I recommend for using when leveling. And the raid one here, which is the one you would be using for single target damage. So for example, raids. So what you do is you can see here Dungeon, Delves, and Open World. You find the talent code here, you click copy. Then you leave Discord, you go back to your game, you press N again, you go down in the left corner, you say import. You import the talents, and then you can, for example, call it like I do normally, Dvalin, Dungeons, or even SBA Dungeons, something like that. And you can say import. Now it's going to set the talents that I have chosen for, the dungeon build for using single button assistant. So now you got the talents in, and this is how you get the talents. Then of course you can also see on my Discord, there's also talents for dungeons and raids, and some specs have even multiple talents for like easy mode and hard mode, for example, where you have to do a little bit more. But this is how you get the talents from the Discord I have in here. Then we need to talk about the UI. You've probably seen maybe some of my guides and you're like, I kind of want the same UI as him, or something at least close to it. Well, what I recommend is first get rid of all your spells, like, basically clean out. Let's get rid of all this so we don't have any like behind the scenes. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go again, open up my Discord channel. Then you're going to find here Dvalin UI Retail. You're going to go in there, and here you can see there is an import layout for my UI. You're going to double click in here, you're going to copy, we're going to close down Discord again, then we're going to go into WoW, we're going to say edit mode, and we're going to say, here we're going to say import, paste in the code, now give it a name like Dvalin UI, and import, boom. Now everything in your game should look exactly like mine here, where we have, the frames here, damage meter down here, the frames, and most of all, if you open your spell book, you'll now see your action bars are very cool aligned together down here. Then in each of my guides on my Discord server, you can see here that, for example, if we go into Windwalker, you can see I have a screenshot of how I recommend having the spells. Since I'm always very I always take care of like what spells you need to use outside of single button assistant. In this case here, damage wise, we just have this Zenith cooldown here. So what you folks can do is you can look at this image here on your next monitor, and then you put down the spells. For example, first of all, you have the single button assistant here, which is the one that is automatically using your rotation. So you drag it down here on number 1. That's the one you're going to be spamming for using your single button assistant. And then basically by that, I just look at my image and I start moving down spells. And that's pretty much it. So we move down spells till we have the same one as the image that I had on my Discord server. So just to let you know. And of course, you're going to move rest down. And then when you have moved rest, I'm just going to skip to my other build here, because then I have all my spells down here. So yeah, so you should now have, from watching this guide so far, you should now have my talents, and you should also have my UI, and also drag down the spells now here. Now we're going to talk about the cooldown manager. You probably have seen in some of my videos that I have like my cooldowns in the top right corner, so I actually know when my single button assistant is going to use one of those, because all the spells you have in the single button assistant which has a cooldown is going to be used automatically whenever they get off cooldown. So it's always very nice to have a cooldown manager that shows you when they are ready, so you actually know when they're going to be used. So how do you enable this? Click Escape, go into Options, go to Gameplay Enhancement. Now what I recommend is you go down here. Just for good advice, I recommend enabling boss warnings. It's going to tell you like what's going to happen in dungeons and raids, which is very nice. Then we have the cooldown manager. I also recommend enabling this. I also recommend enabling external defensives, the damage meter, auto reset damage meter in case you want to like have it reset every time you go into a new dungeon, and also diminishing returns. Then you can see here cooldown manager, advanced cooldown manager. Now you can see we have a cooldown manager here. Basically what you do is you click on this one here, import, and now it wants to ask for a code. And again, as usually, we open up the Discord, we go down in one of my guides, we find the cooldown manager code here, we copy it, and then we go back to the game here, and we write SBA, for example. Boom. Now we have a profile here called SBA, and now you're going to have the same stuff as me. So you're going to be tracking your buffs, and you're also going to be tracking your cooldowns whenever like it, so you can see when it's ready to use one of the other spells. It's very nice to know that, oh, in 2 seconds it's going to be using Fist of Fury, and then I know that I'm not supposed to press 1 anymore, because else you're going to cancel Fist of Fury, for example. So this is how you import the cooldown manager. And in case you want to change it yourself, you could just go again, gameplay enhancement, advanced cooldown manager, and then you can like drag and drop spells. This is the track one, the buff, where you can see which buff you have on. And then also spells is which of the spells you actually want to see when the cooldown is ready on. I don't, for example, like to have, for example, Touch of Karma or Sinif on, because I have them down on my keybinds, so I don't need them up here as well. But you could do that in case you wanted. And then now you have the UI, you have the talents, you have the spells down, you have the cooldown manager. The only last thing I really can recommend you getting is the add-on called Trophy GCD. The reason for why I recommend this add-on here, so you can see in the add-ons here, I have this one here called Trophy GCD. The only reason I recommend this one here is because it's actually going to show you what spells you're using. So whenever you're using a spell, it will show you, like here, what spell you've been using. So for example, Roll, Sinif. Even when you're using your single button rotation here, you can see if we just go to action here, there we go. Now it will actually show you what kind of spells in the rotation it is using, which is pretty cool, because if you, for example, one day, maybe you don't want to use single button assistant forever, maybe you want to someday try normal rotation or assisted highlight, then this can at least help you to understand what the rotation you're doing is actually like doing. So it's just very nice to see what the rotation is doing. Again, you don't need to have it. It's not an add-on that at all is going to make you bet, like, you know, your character play better. It's just a little nice tool to see what is your single button actually doing. So if you were wondering, oh, what was that big attack? Then you can just suddenly see, oh, okay, it's because it used, you know, it used Whirling Dragon Punch or something like that. So personally, I just think it's a great add-on, and you can download it on CurseForge, where I get all my other add-ons from. Also, in case you have general questions for, you know, the single button assistant, on the Discord, we have a room here called SBA FAQ, which is a great room that actually like tells you about all the normal questions you would have about the single button assistant. Like a single button assistant is not a macro, it's an in-game tool. You cannot change the ability it uses. It uses what it uses, and you cannot change it. Yes, you can push keys using single button assistant. How high depends on the number of variables. The best single button assistant spec for top DPS any given time always changes. Basically, last week it was Elemental Shaman, next week it could be Beastmaster. It all depends on buff and changes. Usually the best meta specs is also the best one for the single button assistant, But there is some specs that really shines, like the Destruction Warlock and Elemental Shamans. They really are good with single button assistant due to the fact that they don't have, like, they have a lot of like casting time, so the global cooldown is not really affected by it. And yes, the rest of Shaman, Holy Priest, and Preservation Evoker cannot use single button to heal, but you can use Discipline Priest, Rest of Druid, Holy Paladin, and which one was the last one? Mistview Monk, which is probably the best one for healing with the single button assistant. But here you can just read like a lot about like the standard things. But again, on the Discord here, you can find all the guides, all the stuff, and also all the guides for the single button assistance. So thanks for watching this little guide here. It was actually a video that has been requested by various viewers, and today again I had another request, and I'm very grateful for the request, because you know that basically just means, hey, we need this information, could you please make a guide about it? And yeah, it's like, yeah, of course I can. So I hope this video here is going to help a lot of people to how to import my talents, my UI, the key binding, the cooldown manager, and what add-on I'm using to see those rotating spells coming over the screen. So yeah, hope it was helpful. Let me know in the comments if there was anything that I didn't answer, something that I forgot to mention. But again, also on the Discord at the SBA FAQ room, most of the questions should be answered in there. But yeah. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. And again, in case you want to support my little single button assistant adventure, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel or even become a YouTube member, and your name will be in the end of the video in the rolling credits. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.